and I think it's especially relevant for people here at Yale University. It's Professor Marcus, who used to run the U.S. Civil Rights Commission in the U.S. government. He's now a professor in New York, and he's speaking about anti-Semitism on U.S. campuses in the contemporary context. It's at 4:15 across the hall. So it'll be an important lecture for those in the academic community. So today, and also, before we start, I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Regev from the Israeli Consulate. He's in charge of educational cultural programming at the consulate. She's here with us today. And welcome. Came from New York. And today it's a real honor and a privilege to be able to introduce to you Dr. Boaz Shapira. Dr. Shapira is going to speak today about the situation in Gaza. The title of his lecture is Israel Votes After Gaza, Politics as Usual with a question mark. He's a senior political correspondent for Israeli television, Channel 1. He's a lecturer at the Lauder School of Government and Diplomacy and Strategy, as well as the Sami Ofer School of Communications at the Interdisciplinary Centers, the IDC, which is Israel's foremost private university. It's about to host the Herzliya Conference, which will be the major political security event in the Israeli academic and political context. It starts in about a week. Currently, he's the senior political correspondent for the Israeli television, and he's held this post since 2005. He's an expert focusing on issues of the Israeli politics. He's a fellow, he follows political events as a reporter, but also as an academic researcher. He's written a book called Coalitions, and this is a textbook that is used in Israeli political science departments throughout the country. And he's written widely on these issues in academic journals and also in the media. So it's a privilege to have you here today.
Thank you very much. Hello everybody. Bon appetit. Shalom, shalom. I feel somehow that I arrived actually to the United States yesterday, and I feel that I came from east of the United States, again from Israel. It is very close somehow for me, and you know, especially because I left Tuesday night, and Tuesday was the day of the ceremony, big ceremony in Washington, D.C., with the Obama coming to the office, and I think in Israel they celebrated not less than they celebrated here. I mean, with the programs on the televisions, with the culture, they give more and more special programs about the history of the United States and history of the presidents, and the music was American, and etc., etc. So we are part. So I'm coming from the state of Israel, which is like, we are Americans in many, many ways. We are. I mean, it's not because we are jealous, or it is the right equation, the right way to live somehow. People think in Israel, and we follow somehow, and we're a little American back there in the Middle East. And those of you who came from there understand very well, if they agree with what I say, and those who have a chance to visit and visit the area as general, we found out that, and probably, I mean, so I'm here, I'm feeling much at home. I don't see any kind of cultural differences, even though there is a lot what to learn here, what to hear, and what the way to understand some things. I came on a mission somehow. I visit here and there for a couple of days, and busy back there in Israel with the election, but I left for a couple of days, and the coming election was an election dealing with somehow the corruption of the Prime Minister. Mr. Talansky, living not far from here, gave money to the Prime Minister and years ago, and this story pushed somehow for the first time a Prime Minister to admit that he has to quit his job, and he is candidate, with Olmert. And we didn't know we have election coming soon in February. We thought that Kadima would continue to be on believed that won in primaries in the Kadima party, that she would be able to be the prime minister, next prime minister of Israel. She failed. But we had one issue, which is corruption back there in Israel. And then, as the election somehow began around September, October, they say, stupid, this is the economy. Also, we are part of the big world crisis, and we feel it as, not as much as you feel it, but we feel it badly. And we feel that we feel it, if I may say so. And the issue for a minute transferred to be economical future prospects, what you do with the poor, what you do with the unemployment, etc. And then, as we said, okay, it's not the corruption and moral issues, and it's not the, and then it was the economic issues, and then, and one day it began and became the Gaza, the relations between Israel, if I may say relations, and we have to do some kind of relations with the Palestinian people, and the Gaza operation. Some people in Israel call it a war. It's kind of a big operation. It took place for, as we all follow, for 3 weeks. And I say it's a kind of sad story for the Israelis. I feel somehow, and I'm not trying to apologize, we are very strong, and we decided somehow now to go out to this operation. But the feeling after the war, and it was a war or operation, I will use both terms, and I don't mean any of these, or both of them. It was something, I say, sad, meaning that we were too strong over the population living in kind of, they call this a ghetto. It's the population of Gaza, more than 1 million, people say 1.5 million, living in a small place, surrounding from the Israeli side, Egyptian side, and the sea. Cannot go out. I mean, we know everything. Every Israeli citizen knows everything. But they have very bad rulers, very bad regime. So what can you do? So we feel pity about the fact that we have to fight there. And I don't say, and I don't want, it's not that I'm coming to regret and I don't care. We do care in Israel. And if I talk to the Israelis, I'm not coming to be after the government, and I'm not trying to, I'm telling about, and it's not from the academy where they are, or maybe on the left side, etc., etc. I'm not coming from the media, maybe they're on the left side, etc. The feeling with of the Israelis, the Likud members, the right wing, they say, we have nothing against these people there. We can live with them and we have to find a solution. Now we have two more millions, or let's say another 1 million plus, and figures, nobody knows exactly the figures, how many Palestinians are living in West Bank, in Gaza Strip. Living in West Bank, of course we have problems some kind of with them, and we have more than 1 million Palestinians, this is the name for them, to live in Israel. And we see them. We hardly see them in Tel Aviv city, but as you go, for example, it happened to me to be with somebody in an hospital of Tel Aviv, and the doctor is a Palestinian. And he's living in his village somewhere not far from Tel Aviv, and he's working in Tel Aviv hospital in the center of Israel. And he's not the only one, and more than one, a lot. We know them. So, okay, let's go back to Gaza. We say so. We feel pity, but we feel we have no choice. This is the first thing. Second, we feel pity because we need to, and it was very strong badly, the results are very, very, we destroyed Gaza somehow, as we did in Beirut 2 years ago. We repeat the system. We are afraid so much to lose life of our soldiers. We like, and this is one of the most important issues on the agenda of Israel. How you can make a war with no casualties on your side. So this is why we are very, very, we change somehow. It's not official what I'm saying, but we know. We hear the soldier coming from Gaza. We don't hear it from the chief of staff that he doesn't talk, from the minister of defense, Ehud Barak. But as in the past, we had many stories of Israelis, soldiers, heroes, that sacrificed their life for the life of one Palestinian girl somewhere. They didn't shoot over the building because they were afraid there is a family there or something. So they were trying to do what is necessary. There is a task for them to do some to finish the military goal there or whatever. And there is a building, the Palestinian in the building shooting over the Israeli soldiers. What you do? What did they do now? They fire over the building. This is one of the reasons we have more civilians. Now, to fight against guerrilla, it's not a war between armies. It is, you fight against people living in the town and using the people there to fight against you. In other words, what we call the 3 hours of humanitarian ceasefire each day, not each day from the beginning of the war, but after a couple of days, according to the UN request, from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And we stop any military action, but they still did and fight. Let them do it. Maybe they have the reasons, etc., etc. And during these quiet hours, as you film what's going on, and it's by the not Palestinian, but Al Arabiya television, etc., that give the pictures of what's going on in Gaza from somewhere, and you see the fire rockets keep on going between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. It's live broadcast. I mean, it's not something, and it's not Israel to broadcast. And you see the rockets, the Qassam missiles, going out of Gaza on these quiet hours. It's not the Israeli, of course, on the direction to Israel. From where? From the city center. Now, what you should do, give up and say, okay, I'm not going to fire over the same place because there are civilians in this area. What you do? You let them win the war, you let them do what they like because they do it from there, or you fire over the same. Now, between 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, we did not, but in different hours, we did. So we feel badly because it was, I use the term too strong, and I'm ready to accept any other word. It's progressive or whatever. We were less than maybe other armies. I'm not feeling so much, I'm not. But, figures on the Israeli media to tell how many civilians were killed in Serbia by the NATO operation running by the United States. Clinton, Monica Lewinsky in 98, somewhere, we remember. So the 78 days of air attacks over Belgrade, in the city center. I've been to Belgrade after, and I saw what happened there. I was a couple of years after. They left some of the buildings, some of the ruins. But there were 1,500 people killed on the Serbian side. 1,400 are civilians, and the rest during this war or something. I'm not familiar exactly with the details, but this is the official figures coming from NATO and from Serbia. So what you do, what can you do? I mean, if you fight people that fighting from the city centers. Now, this is one thing. Second, we are very sad about this operation because we have to pay the price, not as I mentioned before, but the international price. Now we're going to pay even more. Yes, the war ended from the diplomatic point of view in a very good way. We found all the leaders, not all, but 6 leaders of Europe, President of France, President of Italy, Prime Minister of Italy, Prime Minister of Spain, Chancellor of Germany, Prime Minister of Czechoslovakia. They all came on the day where the war is over to the Israeli Prime Minister in Jerusalem. I will repeat, in the Jewish capital of Israel, Jerusalem. They don't like so much. They talk so much about this problematic Jerusalem, and they came, all of them, the 6 of them, to have dinner together with Prime Minister in the end of this war. Do you find any way to tell about the support of the diplomats, the states of Europe? Yes, they had a lot of this demonstration during the states, but this is an initiative of most Palestinians there. Now that we don't pay attention to that, and we see every and any single demonstrate broadcast on the Israeli television, and we are aware of this. But this was the end of the war by the diplomatic. But now we're going to fight more, because we didn't let, as big armies don't let reporters to go into Gaza during the 3 weeks fighting. Now it is over. We are out of there. We may go there. Maybe you didn't see yet because the war was busy with Obama. America was busy with Obama. America is less maybe discussing like Europe does about what we did in Gaza. And you know, when we bomb a city, so we bomb the city. You know, and maybe you remember the pictures in Beirut. It's more of the same. And Gaza, it's a poor state, it's one of the miserable places in all the Middle East. And there is nothing to destroy, and we destroy what is the nothing there. And why? We can discuss why. And here I'm coming for the third reason that we are very sad about it. One, what we did. Second, the reaction of the world. And the third, and what we did. Nothing. It's not over. We didn't solve the problem. We did so much, we paid so much, and the Israeli people feel that in the end of the day, it will continue soon. We know. We're waiting. We're waiting somehow. Not waiting that it will happen tomorrow. But it doesn't matter if it will happen in 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year from now. No, nothing, and there is no unless. They will come back with their missiles, and it is not over. So, being said, it's not a good way, but this is the truth. We are sad but not regret, and we think, and we. I told you about the Israeli, what they think, and the examination of Israel will be not the past but the future, and what will be the reaction soon, few weeks, few months, few years from now, less than few years from now, that we will have to react again in Gaza. And the question whether we're going to do the same, and probably we will, because we said enough is enough. This was the words simply used. These words, exactly the words that Ehud Olmert used in Lebanon, Second Lebanon War. He said, enough is enough. Hey, we went out of Lebanon according to UN resolution. We brought the UN inspectors to say, where is the border? They said, you should be over this line, and we didn't go there. And now we are, and we did what it's should be done, and suddenly they keep on fighting with us. For what? They want Wi-Fi Israel from the land. Okay, this we know. And, you know, we say in Israel, never trust an army. You know, don't trust them. On the other hand, people say, they say they want to wipe out. Believe them. So to believe them or not to believe them, never trust an army. So we react very badly there in Lebanon with 33 days of war, with the American aircraft and the immunity coming from here probably, etc., etc. Also some Israeli production, and in the end, after a few weeks, Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, said, "I regret if I know in advance that this will be the results. I'm probably not going to this kill them because I paid too much." He said it. I have to say, he's sometimes very generous. This Nasrallah is, sometimes I feel it's like the Israeli politics. It's like, we see him so often whenever he talks, we see what he says. We follow. So, and what happened in this war now in Gaza? After a week, the UN announced that he found Katyusha rockets ready for to plan some probably Palestinian groups to fire rockets toward Israel, and the UN found it and announced it, and the Hezbollah announced as soon as possible, we didn't do it, it's not ours. And after a week, the same probably Palestinian, there are a lot of Palestinians in Lebanon, of course, you know, refugees, so they fire 3 or 4 Katyusha rockets over a Shlomi, Nahariya. There was some damage there, and again Hezbollah declared by the television, etc. They are not regretting whatever, but it's not Hezbollah. They are afraid. Okay, this was we achieved somehow our goal. Look, Nasrallah came in the beginning of this operation in Gaza and said, "I'm looking for the support of all the Arab nation to be on the side of the Palestinians." How do you support? We know to support. We have the power to act, and I'm looking for the states to. And what he did, went down back to his shoulder and stayed there, and didn't talk anymore. So, and I give you another example. We didn't hear any kind of a problem coming from all West Bank during the war. There were few actions of some Palestinians to demonstrate or to throw stones. It was quiet. Why? They are afraid. What's the purpose of the operation in Gaza? It's to frighten the people who live in there. Hey, please, you are firing rockets over Israel for the last 8 years. So we ask you, we beg you, please stop. We are talking very clearly, and we did some small operation to let you understand. We ask you to stop. Hey, what's the problem? You want to talk with us? We are ready to talk with anybody. We are talking with the Palestinian authorities. Hey, you want to talk about what? That we go out of West Bank and Gaza? We can go out of Gaza. All of Gaza. So what do you want? So the Hamas, they did that. We don't want the Israeli state to exist. We want the Palestinian state. Okay, in this case, there is nothing to talk about. Still, there is what to talk about. But this is what they say. So, gentlemen, if you want to fire over rockets over Israel, we would like to have it. So please stop. So, if we were so, we did the wrong thing lately in these 3 weeks. So, and the world can condemn Israel for that, maybe. Where was the world to support Israel for 8 years to be quiet? We did the right thing for 8 years. We were shut up. Okay, there were a few operations, but rarely. And yes, it's not a few, many more, but it was in purpose to stop it. And we said clearly, if they don't fire rockets, we are not intend to do anything. Now we open all the. We wanted to open the airport here and the port, the seaport, etc. Holland wanted, the Netherlands want to support the rebuilding of the seaport of Gaza, and Turkey want to give money to some industrial areas in the territory of Israel to let Palestinians come every day to work with the support of Israel. It's more secure inside of Israel for the Palestinian, not for any Israeli. But the Hamas didn't let them get there. They were firing over the Palestinian trying to cross the border. So what you can do, you block the way. I mean, you don't say, okay. So we did all of what we did because we had no choice. And in the end, we went to this war. And the results that we did get nothing because we didn't change, of course, the regime. We didn't plan to do so, not in 3 weeks. I don't know if it's possible, and changing a regime, it's not a solution for a problem. You have to face. And actually, we've been talking about Gaza, and we have a lot more to talk, but this became the #1 issue in the Israeli election. At the beginning of this war, it gave some popularity to the government that should, and the Israeli people support each and every government in the first days of any kind of war, of course, this kind of war, and this was a very short war, so we didn't find any other activities upcoming soon after. And we found that Kadima getting a little bit more support somehow, especially the Labour Party, leading by the Defense Minister Ehud Barak. But it is not much that can reflect and change the outcome of the results of the election, as we see now that there are 2 blocks, and there is the right and the left in Israel. The left is not exactly left. Now I'm moving from Gaza to talking a little bit about the Israeli election. There are 2 blocks in the Israeli political life. We have the left and the right. The left is not left. The left is not right. We have right and not right. Some of the left are in the left side. But some of the people on the right side are ready to make the big compromises with the Palestinians. Let me remind you, the Camp David agreement back in the 70s was created, was made by Menachem Begin, the leader of the Likud, that, he planned it. And lately, a few years ago, the Likud decided about this engagement going out from Gaza. It was, again, so this is the right page. Of course, some people in the Likud didn't like it, etc., I know. But the right is looking to some progress in the Middle East crisis, big conflict. At the same time, those on the left side know to fight. It's not that they are left and they are giving up and surrender. And we see it lately with the war. Kadima had to prove that this party can fight against the Arabs and see, believe me, is like somehow kind of Minister of Defense. She's with the Foreign Affairs Ministry, but now I want you maybe to understand the political life in Israel, and this will be regarding the political outcome of Gaza somehow, but to understand what is Israel politics, and we don't have, it's not, I'm teaching sometimes, as courses running in the university for all the semester, all the year, and I'm trying, and it's not, what I'm going to say now is not part of the election necessarily, it's the reality, and it's more than, as I'm a reporter of the political life in Israel, but it is the outcome to understand in 3 minutes the Israeli politics. We are very conservative, if I may say, each one with his vote. We don't change much. We are people who are devoted somehow, I have to say, with our preference. And we keep on voting the same, somehow, like the Republican, the Democrats. Again and again, families, etc. You belong to the right. You vote to the right. One of the reasons, because there is not a big difference. So it's traditional vote. Yeah, there is not a big difference between Barak, which is left, let's say, and Netanyahu. They say they are twins. Some people say so. Okay. But we have, for example, a lot of big immigration coming from Russia. They don't have any tradition. How did they vote in the Israeli election during the 80s? They were not in Israel. They didn't know nothing. And they came and they learned.
They don't have
And
any
they
political
more
tradition.
probably can change the vote, etc. But it's not only there. Still, there are some people who hesitate and located in the center of the political life in Israel, political, let's say, arena. Now a little bit of history, 1 minute only. Till 77, when Begin won for the first time with the Likud party the election, we knew the results before the election. Mapai, Avoda, Ma'arach will win the election. It was again and again and again. There was a big surprise in the year 77 when Begin became Prime Minister of Israel. And this is a big change, not because for the first time he did it, and because it changed then, and it was changed since then, that we have actually two blocks. You know, we are more like America. Two parties, Democrats and Republican. Somehow looks alike. People can be here or there, support here or there. We have the traditional voting, and we have some years for this party and some years for the other. And the reason is, who is the one to stand to lead the party? Is charismatic more than the other. Now, what happened in Israel that we thought Begin would lose the coming election in 81, but he won 61 mandates in the Knesset. And then there was the 60-60 vote of 84 and the unity government. See, we established by these years the fact that we have two blocks with the same support. At the year 88, now since then, and I may say, we have a little bit more, as you see, 77, 81, and then 88, a little bit more support to the right, basically. It is 60 something, 50 something. But it's not necessarily you get it all the time. Then in 88, you get more support to the right. Shapira became the prime minister for 4 years. With Paris, without Paris. And then in 91, for the first time since 77, the Labour could win the election because they had with the Meretz party and the Arabs 61. So Rabin became prime minister. He had 61. Again, it's simple. And 61, he can do what he likes. He did the Oslo agreement. He had support in the Knesset. He lost some of his members, the third way, etc. He had many problems. And you know how was it ended. I mean, but there's another thing. Let's go to 96. Netanyahu won hardly in the battle against Paris. Of course, in the parliament he got a little bit more. In 99, he lost to Barak. If I'm going to the parliament, I see that the results in the parliament was 60-60, but it was direct vote for prime minister, so Barak was the prime minister. And here we come to our time. Sharon won on the year 2003, and he got majority that clearly more than over 60 votes. And then, we had for the first time, the creation of Kadima for the election of 2006. What happened there? For the first time ever, as we found the labor is a little bit collapsed because people say it's the old party. A party of 100 years old, and there was Shinui to come, etc. Kadima came as a party that Sharon created, and I'm talking about few weeks before he became sick and went out of politics, etc. That he created a party that established by Likud members. It's mainly Likud. There were only 3 people from the Labour Party to come, but he got all the support of those from the left and those who are running and hesitating between right and left. So what is happening now? In the election of 3 years ago, Sharon got majority actually for the left, because he was, of course, the leader on behalf of Kadima, but is everything okay? I want to finish in 2 minutes. 2 minutes, yeah, it's the, I said, from Gaza to election, and I'm coming to this election. So, and here, no, it's with Kadima that I'm going to want to let you understand something, and this will lead you to understand what's going on in this election. You count from now, I think, 7 sentences, but long. It is like that. Sharon got the majority because Kadima plus Labour plus Arabs plus Meretz, Kadima, that there are people from the Likud, became 70 members altogether in the parliament. In this coming election, there is no Sharon anymore. Kadima is weak. Kadima is getting support from, she takes support from the Elder Party. She takes some from the Labour Party. Kadima, that is 29 in the government, actually getting 30-something, 37. But at the same time, Kadima losing all the mandates that came from the Likud that Sharon could bring, they're going back to Netanyahu. Don't see much different in the right wing. Netanyahu is taking 2 mandates from Shas party, and he's taking 1 mandate, and he's losing to Lieberman, etc. It's all the same. But he's getting back something like, we count 14 mandates, moving from the left to the right. If the left was 70, now they're going to be 55, 56. If they prevent the 14 mandates to move from one side to another, and if it will be only 10, and the war maybe was intended to do so, so you have again the equal results. Or if the left will get 61, so it's another 3-4 years of the left side. But now, by the polls, what we can see, the right has 63, 64, and I don't count how many people left. And altogether means that the people that went with Sharon is coming back to the Likud. And we have again the traditional vote, the famous one, that you have the right wing to have the 63 mandates. Like we did in many, many occasions in '88 and during the years 96, 99, etc. So this is the outcome probably of the election, 2 weeks and some days from now. And in the Likud, they are afraid of a surprise that they will lose in the last few days 3-4 mandates, the right bloc. And in this case, it's another politics. But if they win, this will be the result and the outcome. Hear what I say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So we have about 20 minutes, I think, for questions and answers.
Please.
So I'm going to start off with a question. So first of all, I have a question for you. The people here, how many people have read the Hamas charter? Okay, it's good. Because usually when I give lectures, I ask the question. It's usually 1 or 2%. So you're about 50%. That's good. So of course, with Hamas, an institute that studies issues of anti-Semitism. So you know, Hamas is obviously trying to cite all this anti-Semitism, the culture, destruction, not only the state of Israel, but the murdering of Jews in its founding document. It's sexist, homophobic, etc. It doesn't believe in violence. So from our perspective, it's extraordinarily problematic. So my question would be, therefore, given the worldview of Hamas and their agenda, you said that the war was successful. So the question to you is, a lot of damage was done to Gaza, and yet Hamas remains, it seems, firmly in power. So even though the six representatives of the Europeans came for dinner, they also I think the same day or the day after, said that if Hamas was part of a coalition government, they would welcome it into the Palestinian government. They would like Hamas to be part of a Palestinian coalition government. So I'm not sure if that's successful or not. So that's my first question. Was the war actually successful? The second question is, and I think this connects to both Israel and the United States, the wider picture is that under the Bush administration, Iran has become much more powerful than it was for a series of reasons we don't have to get into, but the end result in the last 8 years with the Iraq war and the administration is that Iran has become very powerful, and they're exporting their revolution through Hamas and Hezbollah. So what do you think should be the Israeli and the American reaction to this threat? And can you address the situation in Gaza without looking at the broader picture?
Yeah, it's big, and the main question, for the prospect of the Middle East. Look, Hamas says he won the war, right? Somehow I want Hamas to believe so, and as heroes who won the war against Israel, they will come to make peace with Israel. Okay? Because you don't want to come from a position that you lost the war. Go ahead. If you're that strong and you didn't lose the war against the strongest army in the region, so come over. I'm not afraid that Europe would like to declare that she recognized. I'm not afraid of that. I'm looking for the reason for them to do so. If they change their policy, I feel very bad about it, and it's going to be a mistake. It will not help the solution in the Middle East. Look, we will do peace with Hamas one day, of course, with these bad people. If they will say they change from their views, they will say. This is the whole thing. We know the way to achieve peace in the Middle East. It's not how do you make peace in the Middle East? How do you bring this conflict to its end? Very simple. We're ready to go out of most of West Bank. It's declared by the Likud government with Netanyahu as a minister. We are ready to go and to leave some, settlements here and there, etc. Okay, let's deal it once again. We're not ready to give any inch of Israel, of course. We're not ready for refugees. It's not. Okay, maybe 50,000, etc., etc. There is the way to solve the problem. But there is somebody that is ready to do it on the other side. This is everything is ready, but there is nobody from the other side to accept it. And we don't bring them to the corner. It's a decent solution. According to the Union 47, somehow I know what we gain and what we lose. We thought Arafat can do it. I think Arafat didn't do, but it's history. Now we have the problem, Abu Mazen is ready, but he's weak. And then we have Mr. Al-Ghamaniya, the leader of Hamas. Mr. Al-Ghamaniya, maybe somehow, we don't see so, but look, we need a strong leader coming from the Palestinian side to lead his own people and to keep them quiet. As you see, Gaza is quiet now because he is strong. And if he will one morning say, I'm ready to do peace with Israel, not peace, to do an agreement, I recognize the right of Israel to exist. And he will not gonna like us at all, but he will make some kind of an agreement and can keep it. Don't look for a solution. Solution, it's a word that you never get. Try to get an arrangement. Look, you're asking about Tzipi Livni and Netanyahu. What's the difference between them? I really don't know. They're both from the Likud. I know. I can if you ask me to find, I will find. And if you ask me not to find, I will not find. Okay. I don't care who will be the next prime minister from Israel, from the Israelis goals and anything. When I wake up in the morning, I want to know if Hosni Mubarak in Egypt is still in power.
Yes.
I need this strong leader in Egypt to control over his people. You have more extreme in Egypt than in Gaza. And they are very, if Mubarak is passing away, going out, I know, I am very afraid what will be on the border of Egypt. I have to, it's more important who will be the president of Egypt than who will be the prime minister of Israel. And thank to Mubarak, thank to Hafez Assad, the father, and Bashar, the son. They're very nice, already. I don't want them to like me. I don't need them, I don't need peace with them. They're quiet. Okay, they let me live, I let them live, etc. I have to be careful. I have the Jordanian family, but this is another story that I don't want to be friend of. I don't need Mubarak to be a friend of mine, and I love his policy that he is treated Israel badly, very good. Because if you will be a friend of Israel, you will lose power. You saw what happened to Saddam. I mean, he should be very aggressive with Israel. No, he doesn't come to visit Israel. Okay, I understand. But he still has the connection with the United States. I'm looking for Akram Mania one day to be Mubarak, to control his people, to hate Israel, not to want to talk to us, but to keep his people quiet. And to accept the borders, etc. We give him more. And this will be the outcome of the conflict for one generation, but Ishkot Haaretz Arba'im Shana.
Can you comment on the Iranian connection?
Iranian connection, it's Israel repeats and say all the time it's not an Israel problem, it's the world problem, and the world do nothing, and the world is late, and I'm sorry, we have to think over Iran as a nuclear superpower. It's over. I mean, only if Obama can make America, he can change it. Maybe he will join the engineers there, and we are part of it, and then you will control it. I don't know what solution you can make to solve this problem, but to prevent, it's too late. I mean, they want it, and we have to face a new reality in the Middle East. It's very sad, very bad, but if you want to prevent it, you have to do something. Ahmadinejad came to New York and said, here in New York, we have to wipe out Israel. As you said, like the Hamas. And the world said, he's crazy. Hey, just a minute. You cannot be part of the UN, for example. I mean, nobody says so. And if Israeli running after the few Palestinians, 1 million, etc., and I know it's very problematic, say Israel cannot be part of the UN, etc., some declaration coming from Europe, etc. So what I'm trying to say, Iran, maybe something can be done, but it's up to the United States to decide. I hardly see Israel is acting alone. I mean, even in Syria, which was a small nuclear initiative there, we did it with the permission, with the supervision, etc. of the United States, and then we didn't say nothing about it, and in the United States, they declared we did it. We're not going to do anything. No, we don't, because any action we do, because the life of many thousands of Americans, and we know it, and not for this reason. I mean, I don't see Israel acting by itself, and I don't see that we can stop this. This is okay.
I think it's very good to hear and very important for us to hear your practical side. I mean, you sound very practical in response to these questions, not on some more abstract or theoretical level related to some documents, but how do we get a job done that we need to get done for our own well-being. And I wanted to, in that same spirit, ask you about your analysis of Gaza, where you kept saying, what choice did we have? We had no choice. Enough was enough. And my question is that it comes from a perspective as a physician. So let me just give you an analogy. Somebody comes to a physician and says they have a problem with my hip. Enough is enough, doc. I kept having this pain in my hip. I got to get my hip out. I got to get one of those new hips. Now, if you go to a hip specialist, they'll probably give you a new hip. You might go to another doctor who looks at your legs and makes a broader definition of the problem and says, I'm not going to intervene over here in your hip. I can see that your feet are a little bit uneven. If I just put a little thing in your shoe, you're going to walk different, and your hip is going to feel better. So I'm a little worried by your analysis of what you gave to us, at least in this brief conversation, about what to do about the rocket fire from Gaza. Seemed a little too narrowly focused on just the rocket fire from Gaza, just the pain in the hip, rather than wondering if it's a broader issue where one might have intervened at a different point entirely in the system, like intervening in the foot to help the hip. And I'm a little worried that Israel uses responses to old questions and old problems and situations in new situations, and the response may have worked in the past, but really isn't the practical response to the new situation, and too much like the hip doctor who just wants to take out the hip.
Well, you know, if what we have now with Gaza, it's not trying to solve the Palestinian problem. And maybe it was in the eve of election, and the purpose of them to show that the coalition, out coalition, and maybe remain coalition, of Kadima and Labour can do a war and stop the Palestinians for 8 years. We asked them. So this was the purpose, and we maybe obtain it, at least for the coming weeks. You know, there is somebody that is hurting your hip, is touching your hip. Somebody is coming and give you, I don't know, touch it all the time. Say, please don't do it. And he come again and hit your hip, just like that. Nothing. He said, nothing wrong. Another one. So you say, please, I want you to not to do it anymore. And he does it once again. You're not going to solve the relations with gentlemen, but one day when he comes and does it, you hit him badly that he said, oh la la, I'll not do it again because he's crazy. We wanted to be in this world the crazy part of the crazy neighbor. We want to be crazy. We decided that for the meanwhile, even we don't like to be, we are going to be the crazy one.
No, I know you decided that.
We love so much to hear from Hezbollah, but we said, just a minute, we're ready to talk to you. You recognize our right to exist here? Yes or no? If somebody says, no, I'm not, why should I talk to you? This one little thing you should change. Arafat did it. What happened to Arafat? We suggest a mistake. We become the leader of the Palestinian entity. And so, what is that? I mean, this was a small dialogue to let them understand that we are, if we say enough is enough, so we mean enough, it's not the solution. And we feel badly about what's going on in Gaza. We want to help, we want to go there, we want to do something. We say, hey, we went out in Gaza. What? I know they want the solution for the conflict. I know. And I really appreciate what they do for that. They don't give up, maybe as others. But they should understand that we are ready to talk. We are talking. And there is what to talk, there is other means of pressure. If they prefer it, we know to react.
Okay, so we have like 10 minutes left, so we can take a few quick
I will give quick answers.
Okay, that's it. So first,
has the window of opportunity for a two-state solution, has it closed?
No.
Is it closing?
No.
It hasn't. It seems that many of the Palestinians will have to realize that they can work Israel into a situation where there can't be a two-state solution, rather than we go for a binational state. And if there's a binational state, it would be a very clever strategy to put an end to Israel altogether, because then there would be heavy pressure from the international media and community to pressure Israel, a la South Africa, one person, one vote, and this would be tremendously difficult for Israel to work against.
You know where's the answer?
I don't know.
Here in this room. Why do I mean so? Very sharp and clear. For now, we don't need you, but your support. As soon, next generation, we need your vote. And you will vote in the Israeli parliament, and there will be no more majorities for Palestinians, because all the Jewish in the world will vote in the parliament, Israeli parliament, for example. And we'll solve this problem. The fact that there will be 2 millions, and we will be 12 millions, will be the solution. Probably it's not been discussed yet, etc. Look, the minority in Israel is a bad minority for the existence of respect. But then, we need to be a democratic state, and we need everybody that has an Israeli passport, and there are a lot of Israeli. How many people have here an Israeli passport, for example? And you don't come to vote in Israel necessarily on the 10th of February. But if you let you vote here, you may go to vote. You don't vote for Hamas or, represented in the Knesset. You vote for Meretz or you vote for Likud. You vote, okay. There is solutions for the equation in Israel somehow. For the democrat atmosphere. But we have a problem. We have a problem. We are not going to be America, that we are all united and everything. We are not going to get married. I mean, to be precise, we cannot get married with Palestinians. They are Muslims or Jews. So the problem will remain forever. And at least I will leave some problems for the next generation. I cannot solve everything.
Okay, so very quickly, Clemens.
Yes, please.
Mr. Barak, a few days, maybe 10 days ago, he told us this would be a long operation. After 7 days, it was ended. And I know a lot of people in Europe especially, but also in the US, who are really astonished. Good military action. You mentioned these prime ministers from Europe. Not all of them have been in favor of it, but they have also not been very aggressive against Israel.
They were quiet.
And they just stopped it. It's for me, it's unbelievable. Just stopping an action which is going very good. And
No,
they
but
just
we
stop it.
achieved our goals. We achieved our goals as
They're
declared at the beginning of the war.
Tunnels are
No, we
working.
didn't say we want Hamas out. We didn't say so.
Tunnels is still there.
Tunnels is still there, but we have now a promise coming from Condoleezza Rice. You remember her? She used to work for America. Who is she? And we have a promise from Mubarak, and also, I tell you one more thing, we are still in town, we are still in the area, we will keep, and we know we don't want, look, the purpose, as we were talking before, of this action was for one thing, hey, we are crazy. Listen, we are crazy. We're not enough, okay. The example in Israel, if we are crazy or not, will focus on the next crisis coming soon. If we will repeat what we do, they will not do it anymore. They will stop. They will think twice. Why Nasrallah didn't shoot at Katyusha and run to say, I did not. He said so. Why? For the one reason. They're afraid of Israel. We learned that you have to be strong, but we were afraid of ourselves. We didn't want this long wars. We went into Lebanon, we stayed there. We learned, just a minute, 5 days operation is good for us. As we stay, we lose. They kill our soldiers, we don't like the war. You go, Barak didn't say long operation, but he meant for years or something. He has an election, wants all soldiers to be back. And he knows that he cannot, and they planned it very well. Airstrike for 1 week, infantry for another week and so, going out, this is it, you learn. And they declare clearly, we don't want Gilad, we want so much badly, but we are not looking for the return of Gilad Shalit, this Israeli soldier there. We are not looking for a collapse of the Hamas regime. This is the goal. We achieved these goals, and we are ready there in the neighborhood to act once again.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yes.
so a very quick question, we have 3 minutes left in the room.
Quick question about internal politics in Israel, and I would like to ask about the electability of Tzippi Livni in the light of this military operation in Gaza. One thing we tend to ignore, and I would like to bring into the conversation questions of gender, because there is a military discourse in Israel, which is very strong. To what extent do you feel that this recent military action affect her electability, affect the way in which she could get elected? Again, it's not direct elections, but still, when people are voting for Kadima versus Avoda or Likud, they do vote for a leader. So Tzippi Livni versus Barak, who already failed, versus Netanyahu, who already failed more than once. How would you analyze this situation?
The Israeli people are ready to accept Tzippi Livni as a prime minister of Israel. Yes, they are. But she should be in another party, not for the reason she is in the wrong ideological party. Kadima is not going to win the election, probably. And if Mufaz will be there, they will lose more. And if Olmert would be there, they will lose even more. And it's not a woman or a man. And if Sharon suddenly is coming back, maybe they will win the election. Okay? If Livni is becoming the leader of the Likud, for example, she may win the election. We are not afraid. Well, we can talk. She's not. You know,
Only 2 years in the Mossad, you know, not
2
the
years in
whole
the Mossad,
military
but you
career.
know,
She's clearly capable. She's a fit for
yes,
as a
exactly.
leader. I'm just asking
Yes,
about
but-
the atmosphere in Israel.
Who is the soldier number one of Israel? Has been mentioned like that, Ehud Barak. So we don't run into the Israeli politics. There is, a fight or competition between Bibi and anti-Bibi. All the others are anti-Bibi. Now there is a competition who will be the number one anti-Bibi, Barak or Tzipi Livni. And they failed in Barak, which should be more aggressive to take this position from Tzipi Livni, but he gave up somehow, and he did mistake politically. I mean, it is a politics, and he let Tzipi Livni to be the leader, and the one to say she's going to be probably the one that can replace Netanyahu. And he doesn't support her. If all the left would be, and the left is not there, not left again, etc., would be united, we might get another result, and doesn't matter. People can vote for Tzipi Livni, and she knows to take a good minister of defense, and it's not that.
So she does get credit for it.
I think she does some credit, but it's not the credit that she wanted to change the results of the election.
Yes,
okay.
I'm sorry. A quick comment before I thank you. Please bring your plates and put them in the garbage cans because another group is coming in momentarily and will be counted. And again, at 4:15, Dave Kenneth Clark is speaking across the road about anti-Semitism on behalf of the